I think the Clippers are in pretty significant trouble because they don't have a lot of future assets, and the team they've built kind of sucks and doesn't have young talent. So they're they might be in a rock between a rock and a hard place. Because the honest truth is, I'm not sure their roster has a lot of trade value. I don't think this roster has a lot of actual like winning utility, and it's a lot of old guys. I just with the lack of future assets this team has, they really might be in a situation where great arena, great owner, all that type of stuff. But I mean, I guess we still have that aspiration stuff that's going on behind the scenes as well, where there could be further issues for the Clippers legally and stuff, and with the NBA. But just off of, I mean, the performance on the basketball court, they're 3-6. They haven't won a road game yet. They just lost a game to a Suns team that I don't think is likely going to be that great throughout the year, and did so in pretty bad fashion, honestly. I mean, just not a super good game. They haven't been particularly good all year on either end of the court defensively. They have really fallen apart. Last year they were the third best defense in the entire league. This year they're like third or fourth worst. It's pretty disastrous. I mean, this is this year's defensive stats: a 119 defensive rating, 113.6 offensive rating, giving them a negative 5.4 net rating, puts them bottom 8 in basketball in net rating. Last year they had the third best defensive rating in basketball, almost 10 points per 100 possessions better, and a slightly better offensive rating that was about league average at a positive net rating of 4.9, which made them the fifth best team in basketball in terms of net rating last year. The weird thing is not that much has actually changed about the roster. I feel like they're not playing Derrick Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn together as much, but I mean, Chris Dunn played a lot of minutes in this game. Didn't seem to matter that much, to be totally honest. I'm not loving what I'm seeing across the board with this team. They brought in Bradley Beal and luckily aren't paying him much money, but I don't think he's been very good so far. Harden is, look, he's a great passer and he's a very good versatile point guard, but he's not an efficient scorer. They bring in Chris Paul to be this bench guard. I'm sorry, he's getting DNP CDs. They got Bogdanovich, he's getting DNPs. Like, they just don't even have all that much of a great roster. They bring in Brook Lopez, who I think people are thinking that's a quality defensive big, but it's not. The problem with Brook Lopez is he doesn't move his feet. He just doesn't. He's big, he's a good rim protector, good shot blocker, but he's not a mobile defensive big at all, and so he's going to get torched in the pick and roll when he's on the court. And then Zubac is great. I think Zubac is a really good big, but again, amazing mobility isn't really his strength either. When you have these old guards, James Harden, Bradley Beal, neither of whom are going to be great defenders, and you're trying to build this roster around those guys and Kawhi in a lot of ways, I just think you need more youth and experience, more youth and athleticism and energy and stuff like that. And I just don't feel like this team has a lot of that. You know what I mean? I like the John Collins addition. I actually think he's been pretty good so far this season. He was so good in Utah that they had to stop playing him because he was winning their too many games last year. But he's been solid. I mean, he's shooting 45% from three again this year. I think he's one of the more offensively talented and underrated bigs in basketball. But I mean, you just look at this entire team, and the numbers offensively aren't bad. They're not amazing, but they're not bad. They've been pretty efficient. Harden's had shooting 44, 80, 38.5%. Like, he's having a decent year. Kawhi's at 50%, 40% from three. They're shooting 57% from two-point range as a team. That's really, really efficient. Offensively, I kind of like this team, but Bradley Beal is a nothing burger anymore. He's averaging 8 points a game. Derrick Jones Jr. shooting 40% from three. I hope that continues. The craziest thing about this team is they're actually shooting really well in a lot of ways. Chris Dunn shooting 44% from three. John Collins 45% from three. Some of that stuff might actually regress to the negative. Now, Bogdanovich is basically useless, making $16 million a year, so that's not particularly helpful for this roster. But the honest truth is, most of their main guys are actually shooting the ball pretty well. They don't play any defense. They're one of the worst defensive teams in basketball, and I just think that that's really a killer for this team right now, and I just don't know. I'm not sure how it gets fixed with the roster they have. You know what I mean? Because who is really a valuable trade piece for this team that could go get them the type of player that they need? Because draft picks aren't going to do it. They don't have draft assets. Let's look at the draft assets right now. I mean, every single one of their first picks this year, 27, 28, 29, either have a pick swap or they just outright don't have the pick. That's like an issue. You know what I mean? They don't have draft assets to trade because they can't trade pick swap. I mean, I guess they could trade their 2030 and 2032 picks, I think. If you trade your 2030 and 2232 picks to support this roster, though, I don't know what you're doing, because let's be honest, in the Western Conference, how many teams are the Clippers really better than? Even if they start to play better as a core and find their groove, because I think at times this season they will find their groove. I'm not saying this team's like a lottery team, even though they've played like one so far this year. I do think they should hopefully pick up defensively. Playing Chris Dunn and Derek Jones together more should help that, especially if Chris Dunn continues to shoot the three ball well. But realistically, they are not in the same category as an OKC, a San Antonio, a Denver, an LA. I mean, we're yet to see what the Lakers look like with Braun, but that team looks good. The Rockets are having some growing pains, but they're more efficient offensively than people expected, and I think are going to be really, really good. The Timberwolves feel pretty confident in them. The Blazers are feisty. The Warriors are now 5-5, but have shown already a team that looks like they can compete with anybody on any given night if they're fully healthy and fully there. I mean, let's be honest. It's the Mavs, the Pelicans, the Jazz, and the Kings. Those are the four, and probably the Grizzlies as well. Maybe those are the 5 teams that are worse than this Clippers team. I guess potentially the Suns, although the Suns outplayed the Clippers tonight. They're probably a play-in team. Maybe they make the playoffs. I could see them being a top 8 seed and winning in the play-in and making the playoffs. It wouldn't shock me to see that happen, but that's not the goal, I don't think, for this team, and it certainly isn't. This isn't the outcome that they're looking for. That I can 100% confidently say. When you have this type of roster, you're expecting to compete. And I'm sorry, I don't see competition like really true competition to compete for being one of the best teams in the league in this Clippers team's future. I just don't see it. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying I don't think it's going to. You look at their salary cap, the one thing that they do have going for them is they have a $13 million buffer to the second apron. And realistically, next year, Harden will likely pick up his player option, I would think. But John Collins, unrestricted free agent, that's money that comes off the books. Now, I think he's good. Maybe they look to bring him back. I have no idea. Bogdanovich, they will not be accepting his team option. I can guarantee you that. Brook Lopez, we'll see. Nick Batum, we'll see. But there are avenues here to clear out a decent amount of cap space, and they already have a decent amount of flexibility. Like, there is some maneuverability for sure if they had more assets to trade. The problem is, I don't know if the assets that they have to trade are really impactful enough to garner much of a return. And I'm not sure where help is coming from, you know what I mean? Because I don't think any of the young guys that they have on this roster right now are coming to save it. Who are the solution guys? Because as of right now, it's not Kobe Brown. I mean, Cam Christie's playing a role, but not a big role. This dude they drafted this year, Yannick Conan Niederhauser, I'm going to be totally honest, I don't know a lot about him as of yet, but he's played 4 minutes a game. That's not a great side. Kobe Sanders, 4.5. Like, all their young guys are barely playing. Nobody in their rotation really is younger than 28 years old. And they don't have any interesting young assets. That's not good. That's not good at all. And I'm sorry, injury help isn't saving. There's no injury saving coming. Jordan Miller's not, I don't think, anything more than maybe a bench role player. We'll see. He shot 22% from 3 so far in his NBA career, though. That's not helping you. Kawhi is healthy so far. Obviously, they're going to load manage him regardless, but he is healthy, and if they stay fully healthy, I think they're a fine team. They'll probably find their way into the playoffs, but this is not a good situation for the Clippers. With the lack of future draft assets that they have, the lack of defense, the old roster that probably is going to break down as the season goes on in terms of injuries and things of that nature, it just all looks bad. I would be very, very, very concerned if I was an LA Clippers fan. Plain and simple. I'd be extremely concerned because I don't think this team has a ton of long-term hope and even short-term hope to be really good. They could be okay, but they look like they're kind of becoming one of the worst situations in the Western Conference. And that's an unfortunate situation. We knew it was going to happen. There's going to be those couple teams who are not as good as expected to be this year in the West. When you have as many good teams as there are in the West, a few of them are going to fall off. The Clippers look like that team so far this year. Obviously, my Mavs as well, unfortunately. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. Be back with more NBA content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.